Compliments? Who doesn't like to get compliments from the fragrances they're wearing? I sure enjoy getting compliments, but you know what? I have to be honest. I'm not a weak sprayer. I spray a lot, and I walk out and I go down in my elevator, and people, ride with me on the elevator, and they definitely smell me coming with my fragrance. So I've got 20 fragrances here that garner me compliments. I'm going to let you know what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about compliments today. Fragrances that garner me compliments. Do let me know which fragrances garners you compliments. Put a comment down below so I can find out. And yes, I'm in a building that's quite old, over 100 years old. So there's definitely a smell here in this building. So when I leave the building, I'm constantly piling on a lot of fragrance on me. So I leave, go out, and the building has an interesting smell. So your nose gets used to the elevator or the building halls and everything else. And once you smell me coming with my fragrance on, it really does jump out. And I had just piled it on, brand new. So the fragrance is pretty fresh on me. And I'm not a weak sprayer. I spray on a lot. So people will definitely smell me. Maybe some don't like it. Maybe a lot do. But definitely these fragrances garners me compliments. And a lot of them do come in here in the building that my studio's in. So let's get started with the first fragrance. I've got a few fragrances, several fragrances I should say, that are newer fragrances that garners me compliments. And then we've got some of the usual suspects towards the latter part of the list. It's not a rank list today. We're going to the house of REINE de SABA. It's REINE MAKEDA, this one right here. This one has garnered me 2 compliments so far, and it's absolutely intoxicating the way the fragrance smells. Really nice, massive trail, super amazing, and it's in an interesting fragrance created by TEMPFLUO. It's Cashmeran, Ambrette, Mandarin, Jasmine, violet leaves, vanilla, rose, orris root, cedar, and musk. To me, it seems like an overdose of white flowers, whereas it's only jasmine. But there's something white floral / warm notes, ozonic notes, additional notes of rose, powdery notes of orris, and lots of musk. These two work so wonderfully together, maybe distantly reminding me of something in the ballpark of Love Don't Be Shy, but not quite. But man, this stuff is amazing, and I think people smell it off of me, and they really, really like what they're smelling. It's a fantastic fragrance, and again, I have so many fragrances. I don't wear a lot of fragrances over and over again, but when I do receive a compliment, I decide to wear that fragrance again because I enjoy getting them. And I also like to educate people on what fragrances I'm wearing and things like that, because most people don't know the fragrances I'm wearing. But either way, if you haven't got your nose on REINE MAKEDA from the house of REINE de SABA, you must. It's one of the best from this house. It smells fantastic. Super amazing fragrance. Moving on to the house of FRANCESCA Bianchi. It's Encounters, one of the latest fragrances from this house. And it's become a favorite, but not necessarily uber favorite. I think Sticky Fingers is still my favorite, but this is definitely number 2. It's a really nicely made oud fragrance with iris butter, oud ambergris, benzoin, Peru balsam, castoreum, sandalwood, cedar, rose, angelica, and cinnamon. One thing I should say about FRANCESCA Bianchi fragrances, they last and last and last. So a little goes a long way, because as they're extrait de parfum, and you can see they're 30 ml bottles, so small. You travel with them. I wore this on the plane to Japan, and people did notice me. Some people gave me some faces. I don't know if it was because of the perfume, but somebody sitting close to me was asking me how or what the fragrance was all about. So I basically started talking and telling them about the perfumes and the niche houses and everything, and of course Encounters came up, and we mentioned what it was. But to me, again, it's a really nicely made fragrance, one of the best from this house, and definitely very long lasting with a great trail. Most of these fragrances do have great trails. That's one of the reasons why I get them, and also because of longevity. When your body heats up, the fragrances start projecting and things like that. And since these are so concentrated and strong fragrances, they'll reappear after they've disappeared, kind of a thing. So Encounters, really wonderful. Great compliments with that one. This one's also a great compliment getter for me. It's Pastissoir Extrait from the house of BDK. Really wonderful offering with the whole Quince Chutney thing happening here. But there's also patchouli here. There's musky notes, which is really great for compliments. Patchouli with musky notes, really, really one of the key things for me for compliment getting when I'm wearing fragrances. But this is Quince Chutney, Tangerine, Cashmeran, Jasmine Absolute, Pear, Patchouli, black pepper, ginger, cocoa, orange blossom, vanilla, benzoin. So yeah, it's kind of gourmandish, but it's also fruity, and definitely that earthiness of the patchouli is here. Quite strong with that, and it smells fantastic. So you've got to get your nose on this if you haven't. The original is good. I like the original, but this is so concentrated. I'm into the really heavy fragrances, and it has great longevity, really massive trail, and definitely why it garners me compliments. If you haven't tried Pas ce Soir Extrait yet, please do. It was one of my favorite releases of 2023. I absolutely love it. I've been speaking quite a bit about this fragrance. In fact, it was recently featured in Scent Club number 9. This is Dolce Melodia from the house of Sospiro. I don't know if I can say more about it, but I keep saying the same things. It's just a really wonderfully made fragrance. Really concentrated, a really beautiful amber floral, fruity floral fragrance. Has ambery notes when it's drying down. It's powdery. It's really intoxicating, really loud and intense. And definitely just a really beautiful combination of the gardenia, mandarin, vanilla, sandalwood, oranges, pear, blackcurrant, jasmine, rose, saffron, and white musk. If you haven't gotten your nose on this one, please do. It's a really, really great fragrance. Massive amounts of compliments because I wear it a lot because I really, really enjoy it. And people really enjoy the way that smells. They ask me what I'm wearing. Where does it come from? How do you buy it? How much is it? Some of them are not really into the idea of how much it is, but they find out that it smells great, so they're looking up the fragrance. Next, going to the house of NISHANE, it's TEMPFLUO, this one right here. It's interesting, I've got 2 fragrances here created by TEMPFLUO. I think this is TEMPFLUO. TEMPFLUO is, once again, kind of white floral, but also a bit ambery and musky. It's cashmere wood, and I feel like this also had the cashmere wood note, so they might be a little bit similar, but not quite. But again, it's this beautiful combination of citruses with saffron. There's jasmine, orange flower, praline, cashmere wood, cedar wood, and vanilla. So it gets woody, warm, vanillic in the dry down. But up top, it's citrusy, a bit fruity and floral at the same time. Really wonderful offering. It's one of those fragrances that I spritzed on and went downstairs, went to a restaurant. And the waiter at this restaurant really enjoys fragrances because always asks me what I'm wearing, always. But it's not only at the restaurant, you know, sometimes in the hall and also in the elevator, I get stopped being asked what I'm wearing. I haven't worn this for a while, but when I was wearing it, it was always garnering me compliments. I think it's the combination of the musky notes, the warmth, and the fruits. I'm sorry, the citruses that are in here. It's citrus fruits is what I'm referring to. That's TEMPFLUO. Next, going to the house of Orange Parfums. This is Callous Subtle. So this was recently featured in a Scent Club kit and is a really great musky fragrance. Floral notes, white flowers, sugar, amber, moss, and musk. There's a bit of a ambroxan-like, Baccarat Rouge-like DNA in here, but it's minute. It's mostly about the floral notes, the white flowers, the amber, and the sugar. And there's a bit of the idea of fruits in here as well. I don't know, I get a fruitiness from it. It's a really wonderful offering. It's not really super loud. It's perfect in the heat. And when I featured this in the kit, a lot of folks were asking where to buy it. It's not really easily distributed here, but a really great fragrance. I pile this stuff on because it is not as intense as some of the others. And that's when I think it just blooms in the heat. And that's when people ask me what I'm wearing and, you know, I mention it. It might be a bit feminine leaning, but it's a really gorgeous fragrance. It's Callous Subtle from the house of Orange Parfums. And then also in that same kit, we have Porthole. Porthole is from the house of Lumari, and it's a fruity, it's like a salty, fruity fragrance, I should say, with pineapple, bergamot, salt, ginger, passion fruit, white flowers, caramel, white musk, and woods. Yeah, I've worn so much of this one, and people really enjoy it. And I think it's the saltiness in here that really blends with the saltiness of your sweat and your own musk that you know, mixes and blends with the smell and creates this really, really, really gorgeous sexiness that a lot of people ask me what I'm wearing. And also the pineapple is very, very crowd pleasing. And then of course it's sweet, tart, but the salt kind of tones down the sweet tartness of that, along with the other fruits and the ginger and everything together with its creaminess under there. Wonderful fragrance, and I think that's what gets people to stop and ask me what I'm wearing. Most people think it's marine. It's called porthole. There's no marine notes. It's just salty. Really, really wonderful offering. It's porthole from the house of Lumari. And I believe with my Scent Club kit, the brand sold out of bottles. I think they're waiting for more to come out soon. So if you've been on the hunt, I think it'll be brought back probably sometime soon. Up next, the 8th fragrance I'm talking about is Acro's Ink. And this fragrance, like all other Acro fragrances, are not super strong and concentrated. So even though it has like thick, dense notes like vetiver, black ink, birch, along with jasmine, it's a kind of fragrance I can wear in the heat. And that's when my body heat and the heat in the air kind of makes the fragrance come alive. And that's when I think people smell it off of me, because it creates some kind of a musk and people really enjoy it. Some times that I've had compliments with this one, I remember a woman standing behind me giving me like that, and then I was wondering, what's that all about? Why is she doing that? And then I realized I had just spritzed from some fragrance on. So we had a conversation, and then basically found gave her the information, and I told her it's very masculine. She goes, oh, I enjoy masculine fragrances. But another time walking in the hall here in the building, not a colleague, but somebody in the same hall was walking by, was asking me what I'm wearing, and I mentioned it's this fragrance. It's a really, really nice fragrance. Not my favorite from the line, but I feel like if you're a vetiver lover and you like dark, inky vetiver fragrances, smoky touches with the birch, definitely try Acro Ink. I think it's super fantastic. Oh boy, I wore so much of this next one. It's not Bianco Latte from Giardini di Toscana, but it's Bora Bora. Bora Bora to me was like, is it Bianco Latte that's the great one, or is it Bora Bora? Both of them I really equally adore, really love. But this one is more like a tropical, coconutty, milky, powdery spiciness. There's something in here that reminds me of carnations, and I don't know why I get that. There's a spice, like a floral spice in here. Maybe the way they blended the fragrance with the ylang ylang or the tiar flower, and they've, brought out something spicy from the flowers. But there's no other notes in here that would remind me of that. But it's super, super amazing. It's like a lactonic tropical fragrance. It's got the coconut milk, obviously. There's also vanilla, apricots, jasmine, white musk, jasmolactone, caramel, and amber. Yeah, it does remind me of the idea of Bianco Latte, but more of something more tropical. And when this fragrance was kind of being hyped out there, I was wearing quite a bit of it, and wearing a lot of it. And just people would ask me what I'm wearing. Once again, comments or compliments from the ladies. I think maybe this is the kind of fragrance that they like. I don't think this is as popular as Bianco Latte, but for me, it's as good, if not better than Bianco Latte. I'm not going to say it's better, but because both of them are really, really great fragrances. But they're different and similar in some ways. And that's one of the reasons why I was wearing quite a bit of it. And the fact that it had that kind of carnation-like clove spice in here, contrasted with the flowers and the creamy lactonic notes. Super, super amazing. Really, really love this stuff. I don't know if you guys enjoy Bora Bora. Let me know. But it's definitely one of my favorites from the house of Giardini di Toscana. In fact, I would say Bianco Latte and Bora Bora are tied at the number 1 spot, because I can't decide which one I like more. But either way, this is Bora Bora from Giardini di Toscana. And then this one is from the house of Maison Crivelli. It's Patchouli Magnetic. Really, really wonderful offering. A lot of people don't like this one, obviously, I've mentioned. And this one actually garners me compliments as well. It has really, really great lingering power. And also it's patchouli, so it's the kind of fragrance that lingers on and on and on. And it's got this creamy lactonic vibe with it. Some fruitiness as well. It's gardenia, patchouli, sandalwood, benzoin, white peach, vanilla, and leather. The combination is great. And I feel like the milky, creamy, lactonic qualities against the patchouli and the fruitiness of the white peach and the gardenia really makes it a very intoxicating fragrance. I'm a big fan of this one. I love it. It's a bit challenging for some people. It's super strong. I think maybe that's what rubs people the wrong way with it, but I absolutely love it, and it garners me compliments. This is Patchouli Magnetic. And speaking of patchouli, we've got another one. Raw Gold is also a compliment getter for me. people stop me in my tracks and ask me what I'm wearing. It's the combination of the honeyed vanillic notes along with the patchouli, once again, is really, really super intoxicating and also very long lasting. It lingers on and on and on and on. So it lingers on, the fragrance is kind of somewhat gone, but then your body heats up and then starts projecting off of you again. Those are the kind of situations that, you know, people stop and ask me on the or just when I've first spritzed it on and I'm gone to the elevator and I'm going down, walking somewhere, heading somewhere, it's when people stop me and ask me. But this has been a favorite fragrance of mine. I absolutely love it. It does have oud, davana, orris, suede, gaiac, cedar, but lots of patchouli, vanilla, and benzoin. Really awesome release. This is Raw Gold from the house of Thomas DeMonico. Next up, it's Jeroboam's Gozo. This one right here. Are you guys familiar with Gozo? Gozo is definitely one of those really great kind of head choppy smells of patchouli and candy or something. I don't know what it is and why I get that with this fragrance, but I absolutely love it. And it was a slow, really appreciated kind of fragrance. At first I liked it, and then I forgot about it. I smelled it along the way somewhere and I really fell in love with it later. And now I'm obsessed with it, and I travel with this bottle once in a while. I actually have 2 bottles. It's patchouli, white musk, ambroxan, violet leaves, saffron, tuberose, cedar, geranium. There's a bit of an incense-like quality and a reminder of a head shop, you know, with those incenses and patchouli and things like that they sell, because this has a lot of patchouli. And also, you know, it's next to candy, these kind of like sugary candies and things. It's also orange, so it reminds me of, you know, candy or something. But for me, it's an addicting smell, and it wasn't like that when I first, you know, experienced the fragrance. I liked it, but later it really grew on me. And then the fact that the people smell this off of me and really ask me what I'm wearing, which is another great thing. And what I liked about this one, and the fact that it garners me compliments, it's just a really great trail, really super sexy trail. It lingers on and on and on. But the thing is, it's not as dense and thick as some of the previous fragrances that I have been talking about. But again, it's patchouli and it has that lingering power. And so once your body heats up after the fragrance has kind of disappeared, it starts projecting off of you again, and you get asked what you're wearing. But a really great fragrance, Gozo. It's a wonderful offering. Next, I'm surprised this one garners me compliments. This is from the house of Tom Ford. It's Costa Azzurra Parfum. Really, once again, people really like this fragrance. It's not necessarily your typical marine fragrance. It's definitely not oud mineral, which is like fish in your face. This is more like a sea breeze next to a cypress tree coast, something like that, where it's a coastal, you know, setting, and there's all kinds of cypress trees there. So you're smelling the sea breeze, the cypress trees. There's lemon trees as well, vetiver, oakwood, myrtle. It's a really, really great fragrance. And my favorite version of this fragrance is the Parfum. Unlike Ombre Leather, which is the original release, not the Parfum. And here, really, I like the concentration. It smells fresh, but also it's dense. And that marine sea air thing kind of provides a really nice contrast to some of the woods and the citruses and things like that. So it's a really, really nice offering, really great projection as well, and definitely folks seem to like it off of me. This is more of a crowd pleaser type of a scent, and makes sense. People really like these kind of fragrances. So this is Costa Azzurra Parfum. This next one is from the house of Fragrance du Bois. This is Oud Blue Intense. For me, this fragrance is my second bottle. I have a 50 ml bottle at home, and that's the one I usually wear. That fragrance, I spritz on so much, so much, because this fragrance doesn't seem as beefy as I want it to be, but it's one of the best smells I've put my nose on. Absolutely love it from this house. Probably my favorite fragrance from this house because I love it. But I just don't like its weakness. And from looking at the notes breakdown, it seems like it's a really heavy fragrance, but that's not how it wears, which is the disappointing part. But it's cardamom, mandarin, nutmeg, opopanax, myrrh, styrax, benzoin, oud, frankincense, cistus labdanum, and myrrh. That's not how it wears, but it smells so good, so good. And I pile it on, and that's when people stop me and ask me what I'm wearing. One time, this one lady said, "That smells so good on you. What are you wearing?" And I had to give her the name of the fragrance. Didn't really know anything about it. But the other thing also, I told her it's called Oud Blue Intense, and she's asking me what oud means. I said there's got this note of oud, and I told her what oud is, but to me the oud doesn't really come through in this. Does it come through on you? Do let me know. But this is a great scent. I just wish it was a bit stronger. This next fragrance from the house of Memo Paris, it's Sicilian Leather. This one actually garners me compliments as well. It's strange. It's white leather accord citruses, which features cedrat, bitter orange, bergamot, and lime, cedar, fir balsam, violet leaf, coriander, cardamom, patchouli, and akigala wood. This is a very fresh take on leather. Sicily, so it's in the southern part of Italy on the Mediterranean, so I can see that it's a very fresh take on leather, and I like that about it. And this is also a fragrance I can wear in the summertime, even though it gets leathery when it's drying down. And also I pile on the sprays because it's on the fresh side, and I think this is what causes people to react really positively to my smell. So Sicilian leather, if you haven't tried it and you like the idea of a fresh leather, do. It's Memo Paris. It's a fairly underrated house, but they do have some great offerings, and that most likely is a fragrance created over at Givaudan because of the note of akigala wood, but I don't know who the perfumer is. Next up, going to the house of Goldfield and Banks. It's Silky Woods, this one right here. Do you guys know this one? This is the tobacco-ish vanilla fragrance of this house, and I'm waiting to really experience the extrait or the elixir of this one. I smelled it. It was so different than this. This to me is super delicious. Really was wearing it a lot at one time, and I love the combination of the vanilla, the cinnamon, the tobacco-ish touches, the oud, the ylang-ylang, sandalwood, and incense. And I'd pile this stuff on really a lot, walk out, walk around the hall, get in that elevator, and then somebody would be getting in the elevator on another floor, and the elevator would be filled with my aroma, and they'd be saying, "Damn, that smells good." Mostly the time, I'm getting compliments from the ladies, not from the men. But once in a while, like I said, there's a few men that like fragrances when they see me and they ask me what I'm wearing. But most of the time, especially this fragrance, I've gotten 2 or 3 compliments from this one. And both of the times, or the 3 times, were by the ladies. And it smells really great off of me too. So Silky Woods from the house of Goldfield and Banks. Next, this fragrance from the house of Eccentric Molecules is Molecule 1 plus Mandarin. And again, this is a fresh fragrance. It's woody, it's molecular, it's musky, but also juicy citrusy with the Mandarin orange. And this stuff, you need to pile it on. It could come off very minimalistic. Spritz a lot on a hot day. I was traveling one time with this one. I was at a hotel and I spritzed it on and walked out, and with a lot of piles of the sprays on. So the hotel guest somewhere in the lobby was asking me what my scent was, and I was like, yeah, it's this fragrance. They didn't know anything about it, but a lot of people write it down on their phone what I'm wearing. But I absolutely love this one. It's kind of simplistic and minimalistic, but it does have great longevity in a minimalistic way. And it's Mandarin, sweet tart Mandarin orange, along with the kind of cedar sandalwood combo of the ISOE super amazing fragrance. Wear it on its own, or maybe layer it or use it as a primer for another fragrance that might feature some woods and Mandarin orange. We're going to the house of Atelier Materi. It's Narcisse Taiji, this one right here. Are you guys familiar with this fragrance? This is a really unique fragrance in that it focuses on the narcisse flower, spring flower. Love the smell of narcisse flowers, along with hay, patchouli, musk, leather, bran, and ginger. Very unique combination of notes in this one, and a wonderful offering from this house. One of the best, I think. And then definitely paying tribute to the narcisse flower, which is not your typical floral note that's in a lot of fragrances out there. This one also might remind you a little bit of H24, because the original H24 and this fragrance do have a prominent note of narcissus flower. So there is that kind of a reminder between the two, but they're not identical. This being more of a niche take on this flower, this floral fragrance. There's a bit of muskiness in here. There's that realistic musky smell, which is kind of cool off of my skin. I feel like it comes off and is really much more prominent. Whereas the H24, definitely a male targeted release and definitely more of a designer level fragrance. But this is an amazing, amazing fragrance. If you are not familiar with this one, definitely check it out. It definitely garners me compliments with the wearing of this fragrance, and that's always a great thing. So this is Atelier Materi Narcisse Taiji. Check that out. This next fragrance is going to the house of Penhaligon's. It's Babylon, this one right here. So Babylon is a really great vanilla fragrance. There are a lot of vanilla fragrances that I wear, but this one definitely garners me compliments. I don't know what it is. There's definitely something custard-like in this. There's a soft custardy you know, texture when I'm wearing this fragrance. And I don't know where I get that one, but it's super delicious. It's with vanilla, saffron, cedar, sandalwood, coriander, cypriol. And the cool thing about this one, this is definitely something I've turned on to a few folks because of the compliments, because later I found out they ended up buying it. One of which was a restaurant employee that was a waitress who smelled it on me one time, and she was like drooling over the smell, and she was telling me she doesn't typically like fragrances, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, maybe my fragrance is too strong. She goes, no, it smells really, really great. Usually when I go to Macy's, she said, I get a headache because I avoid the fragrance department, but this stuff smells great. So the next time I went, she had bought this bottle or this fragrance, and really started enjoying fragrances after that, which is kind of weird, going from a hater of a fragrance to a lover of niche fragrances, which is kind of always a good thing for me. So this is Babylon from the House of Penhaligon's. And then the last fragrance I'm talking about that garners me compliments, once again, we're talking about the Dior Homme Parfum, this one right here. So this is one of my all-time favorite fragrances, and I wear quite a bit of it, and people do react positively to it. One time I was wearing this one on an elevator, and of course, I went downstairs to the lobby, and I was chit-chatting with concierge, and the woman came down after me from that same elevator, and she was like completely at a loss and trying to figure out where the smell was coming from. And I said, it's me, it's Dior Homme Parfum. They didn't really know anything about it. So she goes, I need to get that for my husband. Really smells so, so good. You smell so amazing. Anyway, if you guys don't know about this one, it's Florentine Iris, Ceylonese Sandalwood, Leather, Ambrette, Agarwood, Cedar, Rose, and Orange. One of the best designer fragrances. In fact, it is the best designer fragrance out there. I hope they never discontinue this stuff. This is Dior Homme Parfum, and that is the last fragrance for you guys of my favorite compliment getter fragrances here. Let me know your favorite compliment getters, and let me know if you have these fragrances. Do you garner compliments from these as well? Put a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.